You're listening to part 1 of this audiobook. Enjoy the story? Part 2 and the rest of the story are available on Patreon. Go to Patreon and search for my page to continue listening. Now, let's begin part 1. Chapter 1 _ Yebai felt very lucky. He is a traverser who accidentally traversed into the very dangerous world of Marvel. When I first came here, there is no ability, no technology, and no system. But Yebai has a very perfect wife named Hela. Although the name sounds a bit like the eldest princess of Asgard, Hela is completely different from that aunt, just with the same name. Hela's facial features are exquisite, tall, with a bulging front and back. She is simply a goddess. Apart from being a little cold-hearted, there are no other shortcomings. Why are you staring at me all the time? At the dining table, Hela frowned slightly and asked Yebai. In fact, Yebai kept staring at her, making her a little embarrassed. Hela, I find that the longer I spend with you, the better you look, and I don't know if it's my illusion. Yebai said with a smile, not stingy with his own praise. After hearing Yebai's words, Hela blushed and was a little shy. However, Yebai quickly gave Yebai a blank look, and there were thousands of amorous feelings in his eyes. Smooth tongue, don't hurry to eat. Having said that, the corners of Hela's mouth rose slightly, obviously very useful to Yebai's compliments. Yebai also smiled slightly and began to enjoy his carefully prepared breakfast. Carefully boiled preserved egg sea meat porridge, garnished with some chopped green onion, served with perfectly fried eggs, and freshly squeezed soy milk, a simple yet nutritious breakfast. You still have to go out today, right? Be careful on the road, it's been a little rough recently. While swallowing the preserved egg and lean meat porridge, Hela instructed Yebai. Although the tone was still as cold, the concern in it almost overflowed. Don't worry, just talk about the Lord of the Rings copyright, it's fine. I'll probably be back at noon, and I'll cook your spare ribs for you at noon today. Yebai said with a smile, so that Hela doesn't need to worry too much about herself. As for the Lord of the Rings copyright, the transmigrators have no superpowers, so they can only be a copywriter. This seaside manor where Hela lived together was earned by Yebai by copying books. I'm done eating, I'll go back to my room to rest first. Because of the injury, Hela is not very healthy and often needs to rest. After breakfast in the morning, Hela usually chooses to go back to her room to sleep, and today is no exception. Wait a minute, don't move. Yebai stopped Hela, who got up, and told her not to leave. Then, under Hela's gaze, Yebai gently wiped away the traces left on the corner of Hela's mouth when she was drinking porridge. Okay, take a good rest. Hela's glowing white face was reddened and tender to the naked eye. After giving Yebai a big blank look, Hela ran back upstairs. Yebai smiled, not caring about his shy wife, but packed up the dining table. Although everything that should happen between husband and wife has happened with Hela, Hela still looks shy in front of him, just like a little girl. Hela, the eldest daughter of Asgard's god King Odin, the first heir to the throne of Asgard's god King. For some reason, Hela broke with Odin and was sealed by Odin. It was only recently that Hela escaped from that seal, but was seriously injured and fell into the atrium, which is the earth, and was picked up by Yebai. Thinking of Yebai's affectionate gesture towards her in the morning, Hela's heart beat a little faster. It's too shameful, she is a famous killing god in the 9 realms, a symbol of death. When have you ever been molested like this? In the past, as long as other men glanced at her, they might die at Hela's hands. However, Hela's heart was not disgusted by Yebai's intimacy, on the contrary, she still had a faint enjoyment. This feeling of love, Hela has never tried it, and surprisingly is not disgusted. Driving the latest Ferrari sports car, Yebai drove out of the manor where he and Hela lived. As a copywriter, Yebai naturally couldn't just copy the book The Lord of the Rings. Yebai has never let go of anyone who is slightly famous, such as A Song of Ice and Fire, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Hunger Games, Twilight, and so on. With the royalties earned by copying books, Yebai has successfully achieved a net worth of billions and entered the upper class. Today, Yebai is going to negotiate with a film company about the film copyright of The Lord of the Rings. With Yebai's net worth, under normal circumstances, he rarely goes out alone, so it is completely reasonable to have 10 or 8 bodyguards. Yebai did this before, until he met Hela. It's not that Hela will protect his safety. With her wife's delicate body, Yebai's protection of Hela is almost the same. But after picking up Hela, Yebai's system suddenly awakened. Every morning when he wakes up, Yabai will receive many strange rewards. Tom's experience in catching mice. The never-ending Lacoon cigarette. A hairpin worn by magical girls. Irelia's broken china bowl as a child. In addition to these useless rewards, there are also some very valuable things. The shooting skills of the sword Saint Sekiro. A complete collection of science and technology from Big Wolf. Little Master's cooking experience. Drift and cornering skills that never roll over. Krypton General's ID template. Especially the template of Krypton General's ID, this is the confidence of Yabai who does not need bodyguards alone. Although the time to obtain the General's ID template is not long, it has not absorbed much sunlight. But on the present Earth, it is completely enough. After all, even Iron Man has not been born, and a certain purple potato essence is still floating in the universe. As for being a hero, Yabai never thought about it. He just wanted to live peacefully and happily with his wife, Hela, and that was enough. When a superhero saves the world or something, where is it important to have a wife? The big deal is that when the purple sweet potato essence comes to the earth in the future, it will not be too late for Yabai to come forward. Yabai believed that by that time, he would definitely be able to easily kill the purple sweet potato essence. While thinking about these things, Yabai skillfully drove the Ferrari sports car past one vehicle after another, and soon came to the downstairs of the film company. After parking the sports car, Yabai sorted out his clothes and stepped into the elevator. For Wen Duogong, adapting a movie is definitely a large amount of income, and naturally, it must be taken seriously. Upstairs, a group of sturdy men in black looked at Yabai below, their eyes flashing fiercely. The goal is here, get ready. One of the leaders of the man in black spoke viciously to the others through the walkie-talkie. Obviously, the film rights this time were not as simple as Yabai imagined. Enjoying Part 1 so far? This is only the beginning. Part 2 and the rest of the story are available on Patreon. Go to Patreon and search for my page to continue the story. Now, let's continue. Chapter 2 In the Big Apple, order during the day belongs to the government, and order at night belongs to the gang. The biggest force of the underground gang is led by the underground emperor Jin Bing. In recent years, with the continuous rise of genius writer Yabai, more and more attention has been paid to this genius writer. Among them is the underground emperor of the Big Apple, Jin Bing. Soon, Yabai took the elevator to the floor where the film company was located. Fisker Films is the name of the company that intends to buy the rights to The Lord of the Rings. Hello, I'm Yabai. I told your boss that I'll come over today to discuss film rights. Yabai found the front desk and said. Strangely, the front desk of this studio was not a woman, but a burly man in a black suit and sunglasses. I see, you go straight to the end and go in again. It seemed that the front desk who violated the peace said to Yabai, and then shut up, very cold. Yabai frowned, the attitude of the front desk was really good. If it wasn't for the exorbitant royalty from the film company, he would have just turned around and left. Resisting the displeasure in his heart, Yabai came to the designated place, and then knocked on the door to enter. The room was very empty, there was only a large table, but no one was there. What the hell are these guys doing? Yabai frowned and walked into the house. What made Yabai even more curious was that it was clear that it was broad daylight, so why was the curtain drawn in this room, and it was still black? Not long after Yabai entered the room, a series of footsteps came from the corridor outside. This is by no means the footsteps of one person, but a large group of people. Soon, the door of Yabai's room was pushed open, and a group of men in black suits and sunglasses walked in. The one in the lead was over 1.9 meters tall and wore a large gold chain as thick as a thumb around his neck. You are Yabai, the author of The Lord of the Rings. The person who came to speak loudly asked Yabai. Resisting the unhappiness in his heart, Yabai nodded. At this time, the last man in a suit had closed and locked the door. I'll pay you $1 to buy all the copyrights of your Lord of the Rings, come and sign it. After hearing this, Yabai understood. Where is this to buy copyright? This is for robbery. After realizing this, Yabai's face also turned cold. What if I say, I don't? Yabai said coldly, facing this big gang of men, he didn't have the slightest bit of fear. The group of men in suits also laughed, as if mocking Yabai's innocence. The strong man at the head took out a pistol directly from his arms and placed it on Yabai's forehead. Either come over and sign, or I'll give you a bullet and choose. Either live or die. If Yabai was just an ordinary person, maybe there was really nothing he could do. But now, Yebai's eyes turned colder. At the same time, I also understand that these people are not film companies at all, but gangsters. You know what? I hate people with guns to my head. Yebai said coldly, without the slightest bit of fear. Seeing Yebai's reaction, these gang members were also a little surprised. Ordinary people, facing their black muzzle, shouldn't they kneel on the ground and cry for mercy? What's going on here? Are there so many people who write books now? However, they were only a little surprised. Of course. They wouldn't kill Yebai with one shot, so the value of Yebai would be lost. But they are not helpless. You must know that death is often a kind of relief, and it is the real torture if you cannot survive without dying. Now that Yebai has fallen into their hands, they can naturally do whatever they want, and there is time to get the value of Yebai. Just when the gangsters were about to knock Yebai unconscious and take him away, a shadow broke in from outside the building, kicking broken glass. The person who came was wearing a red tights, and it was the famous Daredevil. This superhero who is active in Hell's Kitchen can be said to be the most troublesome opponent of the underground gang. These gangsters obviously did not expect that Daredevil would break in at this time. However, the reaction of these gangsters was not slow, and they took out the pistols in their arms and aimed them at Daredevil who broke in. When dealing with Yebai, they wouldn't shoot, but dealing with Daredevil was completely different. Moreover, the space in this room is small, and Daredevil's activities are restricted. Faced with the concentrated shots of these gangsters, it is very likely that one bad will be shot. It's just that everyone ignored Yebai. He was running out of patience, knowing that these people were not here to give money, but to steal money. Yebai was already very impatient. In addition, these people are evil gangsters, so there is no need to have any scruples. Yebai didn't hesitate any longer and shot directly. With one punch, the 1.9-meter thousand-strong hammer in front of him flew out, smashed the glass beside him, and fell directly downstairs. Then another punch hit the nearest gangster, and the man was also sent flying out, smashing the walls of the room. At this time, the rest of the gangsters reacted, and Chi aimed their pistols at Yebai. It's just too late. After Yebai got General Zed's template, he didn't absorb much solar energy due to time. But it is also far more powerful than ordinary people. Even a superhero like Spider-Man is not as strong as the current Yebai. At such a close distance, it is a fool's dream to rely on these ordinary gangsters to deal with Yebai. With ease, Yebai pushed the group of gangsters to the ground. Everyone's bones were shattered into pieces, and it was obvious that they couldn't survive. At this time, Yebai turned his gaze to Daredevil, the superhero who specializes in fighting criminals. I know who you are, Matthew Murdoch, the blind lawyer in Hell's Kitchen. These gangsters are all yours, don't say my name or I'll find you. After leaving a threatening sentence, Yebai planned to leave, not giving Daredevil a chance to speak. Yebai didn't want to reveal his identity and attract too much attention. But it doesn't mean that Yebai will pretend to be a grandson. If someone who doesn't open his eyes provokes him, he will never let him go. Daredevil opened his mouth to say something, but nothing came out. He wanted to ask Yebai how he knew his identity, but Yebai didn't give him the chance. Looking at the silent gangsters lying around, Daredevil sighed. Yebai's ruthlessness made him worried. I don't know if this talented writer is good or bad for the Big Apple. Daredevil sighed. Then he took out his phone and dialed a familiar number. Old man, I have something here that I need to report to you. Chapter 3_. While Yebai was dealing with these gangsters, his seaside manor also welcomed a group of uninvited guests. In order to obtain the sky-high benefits of Yebai, Jin also made a comprehensive plan. The first is for Yebai, and the second is for Hela. Jin Bian believed that as long as he caught Hela, he was not afraid that Yebai would not give in. Jin Bing's idea was right, but he missed one point, that is, Hela is not an ordinary person. When the killers sent by Jin Biao dealt with the bodyguards around the manor, Hela, who was sleeping in the manor, suddenly opened her eyes. Those bodyguards were naturally arranged by Yebai. He didn't need bodyguards himself, but that didn't mean Hela didn't need them. The purpose of these bodyguards is to protect Hela. It's just that these bodyguards are still too immature compared to the killers Jin Bing sent. When these killers overcame the obstacles of the bodyguards and broke into the manor, Hela had already got up from the bed and came to the living room. Come on, the police will be here in 10 minutes, let's hurry up. One of Kim Bai-yong's killers urged the other members. Kim Bing's influence in the Big Apple is very strong, and he has colluded with many politicians, and even the police station has his people. But even Jinbing can only make the police come later, not come. Therefore, these killers are also under pressure. If the time is up and Hela has not been caught, this operation will be a failure. What are the consequences of failure? I believe no one will be willing to try. With a bang, the miniature bomb blasted open the gate of Yebai's manor, and many killers filed in. It's just that Hela, who originally thought they would find a place to hide, was sitting on the sofa in the living room and looked at them coldly. It seems that Yebai got into trouble outside. Hela thought to herself, but she didn't care too much. This is just the atrium, even if it causes trouble, how big can it be? The big deal was that she exposed her identity and turned the entire atrium upside down. Target found, hurry up and take her away. Jinbing's killer didn't expect things to go so smoothly, and the target person was right in front of him. But after a short stunned moment, he quickly reacted and planned to take Hela away. A killer couldn't hold back, and took the lead towards Hela, scolding the killer who was a step slower around. If you can catch Hela, it will definitely be a great achievement, but unfortunately it was preempted. And the killer who was the first to approach Hela was ecstatic. He seems to have seen his own days of prosperity. Hela shook her head, put down the coffee cup in her hand, and sat up straight. Then, a pitch-black sword of the night sky was thrown out by Hela. When the killer was still immersed in his bright future, he was hit by the sword of the night sky and passed through his heart. The sudden change shocked everyone. Hela got up slowly under the dull eyes of everyone, with a very classical elegance and dignity. A mere mortal, trying to be detrimental to the gods, is not a pity to die. Hela said lightly, but pronounced the fate of these killers. These killers also reacted, and fear was revealed in everyone's eyes. Mutant. Yes, in the eyes of these killers, Hela's methods are completely mutants. After thinking of the power of mutants, many killers panicked. At this moment, they didn't care about the order to capture Hela alive, and all raised their guns at Hela. What about mutants? Under their powerful firepower, there is only one dead end. Hela, however, dismissed these almost toy firearms, waved at will, and several swords of the night sky flew out. What followed was that several killers were killed by the sword of the night sky. This efficient killing is simply creepy. The killers could no longer control their inner fears, and they all opened fire at Hela. But when those bullets came to Hela, they seemed to hit a transparent wall and were frozen in front of Hela. Boring. Hela said lightly, and then dozens of swords of the night sky flew out. Like the sharpest sickle under the god of death, it precisely harvested every life present. This time, the killers were completely frightened. They didn't have the courage to stay any longer, and there was only fear and anxiety in their hearts. Hela is not a human at all. In their eyes, she is the most terrifying devil who crawled out of hell. It's just that in front of Hela, no one can escape, and no one can survive. In the end, all the killers who broke into the manor died under the sword of the night sky. Hela didn't set her sights on these mortals anymore. After stretching, she returned to the room gracefully. Just before he left, Hai stretched out his right hand, and snapped his fingers together with his white and slender middle finger and thumb. The next moment, the corpses of the killers who were nailed to death by the sword of the night sky dissipated one after another, leaving no trace at all. For the time being, Hela didn't plan to tell Yebai her identity. After she regained the throne of Asgard, it would not be too late to have a showdown with Yebai. Yebai didn't know that his manor had been attacked by Jinbing's killer. At this time, he had just walked out of the supermarket with some fresh ingredients in his hand. This is Yebai's habit, and he likes to choose his own ingredients. Otherwise, with his financial resources, any ingredients in the world can reach him in the shortest possible time. Bought an extra chicken to make up for Hela, she's too thin. Yebai calculated in his heart. Hela is perfect in both facial features and figure, as well as a pair of exquisite collarbones. The only downside is that it's a little thin and doesn't feel fleshy. It looks good, but it's a little awkward to hold. Moreover, if you are too thin, your body will easily become weak, and Hela is already injured, so she should make up for it. Yebai didn't know that in his eyes, Hela, who was delicate and soft and easy to be pushed down, was actually an out-and-out god of killing. If those Hela's former opponents heard Yebai's evaluation of Hela, they would probably cry. Where is she thin? Where is it weak? Did you know that when she killed a planet by herself back then, like mowing the grass, she was not soft-hearted? Such a guy, you tell me that his body is soft and easy to be pushed down? Is it your problem, or is it me? Yabai, who restarted the sports car to go home, did not know that he has now attracted the attention of many people. The discussion about Yabai and the couple had already started somewhere on Earth. At an altitude of 30,000 meters, the helicarrier, SHIELD. Nick Fury, who put the phone in his ear, put the phone down from his ear. Chapter 4 Coulson, come to my office. Nick Fury spoke to Coulson through S.H.I.E.L.D's internal network. Afterwards, he sat in his seat and looked at the photo of Yabai in front of the screen. His eyes flickered and he didn't know what he was thinking. Soon, Agent Coulson came outside Nick Fury's office and knocked on the door. Sir, what are your orders? Coulson to Nick Fury. Do you know this man? Nick Fury didn't say it outright, asking Coulson. At this time, Coulson noticed Yabai on the screen. I know, the genius writer who is currently the most popular, a Chinese. I'm a big fan of his books, with Lord of the Rings and Pirates of the Caribbean the most. Sir, is there a problem with him? Coulson naturally knew Yabai, and he had the habit of reading books. What Coulson didn't understand was why Nick Fury asked himself questions about Yabai. Despite the fact that Yabai is in full swing now, in the eyes of SHIELD, he is still just an ordinary person. Just a best-selling author, not worth being taken seriously by SHIELD. Go and get in touch with him, and if you can, draw him over. Nick Fury didn't make it clear that there were a lot of things he wouldn't tell Coulson why. It's not that he doesn't trust Coulson, it's that he doesn't trust anyone. Okay sir, maybe I can ask him for a set of autographs. Coulson didn't ask why, which was the biggest factor in Coulson becoming Nick Fury's confidant. Coulson never had any excess curiosity, he only knew what Nick Fury asked him to do, and he did it. When dealing with him, try to be gentle and avoid conflict. As Coulson was about to leave, Nick Fury said again. Coulson nodded, smiled, and left. In addition to SHIELD, there is another group of people who are thinking about the couple Yabai and Hela. To be precise, he was thinking about Hela. Odin sat on his throne, bowing his head, wondering what he was thinking about. Are you still thinking about Hela? Frigga came to Odin's side at some unknown time and asked him. Odin and Frigga knew about Hela breaking the seal and escaping not long ago. Yeah, this kid doesn't always give me peace of mind. Odin did not deny that he would not hide anything from Frigga, and the same thing happened with Hela. Who is Hela becoming like this because of? Don't you have a number in your heart? A trace of reproach flashed in Frigga's eyes. Although Hela was not her own, she was brought up by her. The relationship between Hela and Frigga is much deeper than the relationship between Hela and Odin. Seeing Hela become like this, Frigga would say it was impossible not to blame Odin. But everything had already happened and it was no use for Frigga to blame Odin. It's my fault, I didn't teach her well, she should be my most satisfied heir. Alas, it's too late to regret it now. I'm worried now that Hela will be a threat to Asgard. When Odin recalled the past, there was also a flash of regret in his eyes, but it quickly disappeared. The big mistake has been made, and there is no point in regretting it. It is better to think about how to make up for it. Hela would definitely return to Asgard, and Odin knew this in his heart. It's just that no one will know whether it will be a good thing or a bad thing for Asgard at that time. I believe in that child as much as I believe in Thor and Loki, who are children of Asgard. Frigg smiled, comforting Odin. The specific reason Frigga did not say, because she foresees some future clips. She knew that Hela had changed. She was no longer the cold goddess of death in the past, but learned to love and be loved. As the god of magic, the most powerful witch in the 9 realms, Frigga's strength is obviously not as bad as the legend. Especially in some respects, Frigga is more powerful than Odin. 9 realms, atrium. After lunch, Yabai brought Hela to the swimming pool of the manor, and the two of them lay on the loungers and basked in the sun. Yabai was only wearing a pair of boxer pants at this time, revealing his strong muscles. Hela was more conservative, wearing a one-piece swimsuit, revealing only her arms and 2 long white legs. Yabai didn't know what happened in the manor, all traces were removed by Hela. The only weird thing is, where did the bodyguards go? Could it be that he is hiding and being lazy? It seems that he has to change another batch of bodyguards. This idea just flashed by, Yabai still looked at Hela. That delicate and perfect face, white glowing skin, and 2 perfectly curvy white legs made Yabai dazzled. The look in your eyes made me feel threatened, so I turned around quickly. Hela said to Yabai in a coquettish manner. She couldn't be more clear about what was in Yabai's eyes. But having said that, Hela didn't do anything else, but adjusted her body to make Yabai's visual experience better. This is saying no with the mouth and being honest with the body. Yabai smiled and didn't care. After getting along for so long, he is already very familiar with Hela. My own wife is so arrogant. The mouth says no, but the body is very honest. Wife, I'm here to help you apply sunscreen so that you don't tan your skin. Yabai said maliciously, and quickly put it into action. Of course, this was just an excuse. Hela's skin was so good that she couldn't tan no matter how much she tanned. Yabai couldn't figure out why, so she could only explain it with her natural beauty. As for sunscreen, Yabai's house didn't have it at all, he just wanted to take advantage of it. Of course Hela wasn't allowed, she stretched out a leg to block Yabai, but was instead held by Yabai. Seeing the bare feet struggling in the palm of his hand, Yabai's eyes gradually became dangerous. Hela is very thin, and her ankles are also very obvious. Through the white and tender skin, you can even see the hidden blue blood vessels. For Yabai, an LSP, he couldn't hold back at this moment. Wife, it's getting late, let's rest early. Yabai leaned over to Hela's ear and said to her. Hela rolled her eyes at Yabai and opened her eyes to talk nonsense. Such a big sun, when is it late? Wouldn't she know what Yabai's idea was? Just hungry for your own body. However, Hela did not object, or the objection was not resolute. Under Yabai's very aggressive gaze, Hela finally agreed. Don't be here, let's go back to the room. Hela said in a low voice. If Yabai's hearing was not greatly enhanced now, he probably wouldn't be able to hear clearly. Chapter 5 _ The next morning, Yabai got up early and started preparing breakfast for Hela. Congratulations to the host for successfully signing in, and the reward is Inchjin Kaishan. The sound of the system sounded again, but Yabai didn't care. At the beginning, Yabai was still a little excited, but now he has been able to take it lightly. He doesn't plan to save the world, so what is he doing in such a hurry to become stronger? Life is pretty good now, isn't it sweet to live a peaceful life with my wife? Thinking of his own wife, Yabai's mouth hung a gentle smile again. The mouth says no, but the body is very honest. Last night, he struggled all night, and he was even more energetic than Yabai. Fortunately, Yabai's current physical fitness is not what it used to be, and he is getting stronger and stronger every day, otherwise he really can't handle her. However, Yabai was also a little puzzled. Logically speaking, his physical fitness should not be tolerated by ordinary people, but Hela did not have this problem. It was really strange. Recently, the Japanese and Taiwanese reporters received news that the rich man Tony Stark was attacked by extremists while negotiating the arms trade in the Afghan region, and his whereabouts are currently unknown. Affected by the news, Stark Group's share price fell, falling more than 5% today. And according to the analysis of authoritative experts in finance, this decline is just the beginning, and there may be a larger decline in the future. Please be prepared for the majority of stockholders and audiences. The news from the TV made Yabai, who was preparing breakfast, stop what he was doing. Finally, the age of superheroes begins. Yabai murmured. As a traveler, Yabai naturally knew about this, and also knew that Tony Stark would not only not die, but would also become the famous superhero Iron Man. If it is other traversers, maybe they are ready to go to the Afghan area at this moment, looking for Tony and ready to hug his thighs. But Yabai didn't. He didn't have the slightest interest in being a superhero. On the contrary, what Yabai is really interested in is the stock of Stark Group. Don't look at the fact that Stark Group's stock has been falling all the way, but Yabai knows that this is only temporary. When Tony Stark returns from Afghan and invents the arc reactor, the Stark Group will truly become a supergiant company. At that time, the stock of Stark Group will not be at its current price. What Yabai has to do is to take advantage of this drop and quickly buy enough Stark Group stocks. At that time, there will be no need to write books anymore, and the annual dividends from stocks are an astronomical sum. And Yabai can also take his wife to travel around the world and live a life without shame and impatience. Thinking of this, Yabai showed a smile at the corner of his mouth, then picked up his mobile phone to find a phone named Kyoki and dialed it. Hey man, did you hear that Stark Group stock is down? Right now, put all my money into Stark Group stock, and I want as much as the market has. Kutcher is a big crocodile on Wall Street. What Yabai has earned from writing books over the years has been handed over to Kutcher for safekeeping and operation. It's just that he doesn't need it in the future. Yebai only needs to buy the stocks of Stark Group and he can rest easy. He doesn't need to worry about money in this life. After instructing Kyoki a few times, Yebai hung up the phone after agreeing to have a meal, and happily started to prepare breakfast. According to the address in his hand, Collison came to the gate of Yebai's seaside manor. That's it, he's a rich man. Looking at the luxurious manor in front of him, Collison sighed from the bottom of his heart. With his salary, he will never have a chance with such an ultra-luxury manor in his life. But his pursuit is not here, so after sighing, he quickly regained his normal heart. After straightening his clothes, Collison rang the doorbell. Soon, Yebai, dressed in casual clothes, came to the gate. Yebai is still surprised, who would look for him in the morning, only to see a familiar face. As a well-known old man in the Marvel world, the village chief of Novice Village, Collison's face is too recognizable. And to say it bluntly, Collison is definitely one of the people Yebai doesn't want to see. Because this shows that Yebai has been targeted by SHIELD. Hello, you are Mr. Yebai, right? I'm Agent Collison from the Bureau of Investigation. I'm here to find out what happened yesterday. Collison showed a harmless smile and said to Yebai. Yebai's face was cold, wondering whether he should silence Collison's murder. He really didn't want his happy and peaceful life to be disrupted. But in the end, Yebai still opened the door and let Collison in. Just say something here, what do you want to know? Although Collison was let in, Yebai had no intention of entertaining him, and said coldly. Do you remember what happened at the film company yesterday? Can you give me a recollection of what happened that day? Collison didn't expect Yebai to be so cold. Doesn't it mean that this talented author has no heirs? It seems the rumors are not credible. After taking a careful look at Collison, Yebai spoke up. You can tell your purpose directly, the SHIELD behind you, do you want to win me over, or do you want to control me? Yebai originally planned to deny it, but after thinking about it, he found that he couldn't deny it at all. He simply explained the words, and everyone said anything about it. Collison's face froze immediately, but he didn't expect Yebai to reveal his origin in one bite. Now, he doesn't know how to deal with this situation. In the end, Collison said to Yebai under Nick Fury's voice control. Mr. Yebai, the creed of our SHIELD has always been to unite all forces that can be united. With your ability, you can help more people, do you want to consider joining us? As soon as Collison opened his mouth to Yebai, he knew that the old women's union was on. If it had just been through the time, maybe Yebai would have agreed, but now, it's impossible. When Yebai is full and has nothing to do, he will become a superhero. I'm not interested, I'll just say it. I don't want to provoke trouble, as long as you don't provoke me, I won't provoke you either. But if you want to take control of me, I promise you will pay dearly. Yebai said coldly, the threat in his tone made no secret. At the same time, it also showed Yebai's attitude, that is, not to interfere with each other. If SHIELD didn't open its eyes and plan to do something to Yebai, then I'm sorry, Yebai would never sit still. The big deal is that whoever comes out ahead will die, destroying SHIELD, it's not that Yebai can't do it. The left and right sides of the earth are only such a big place, wait for Yebai to absorb a few more days of sunlight, and I will blow it up for you casually. Who is afraid of who? Chapter 7 Undoubtedly, this negotiation eventually broke up. Under Yebai's strong attitude, Collison had to retreat temporarily. Sir, the specific situation is like this. What do you think? Collison reported to Nick Fury, who was far away on the heli-carrier, through the equipment. Nick Fury held his chin with his hands together and pondered for a long time before he said. That's it for the time being. I'll make arrangements again. Come back first. In the end, Nick Fury still intends to slow down first, there is no need to push too hard and cause the fish to die and the net to break. Of course, it wasn't that Nick Fury was afraid of Yebai, but Yebai's strength was not enough to make Nick Fury afraid. Just cherishing talents, not intending to completely cut off the opportunity to draw Yebai into SHIELD. After all, such a capable tool person is rare these days. After ending the call with Collison, Nick Fury picked up another phone at hand and found a number to dial. Soon, the call was connected, and a heavy voice came from the phone. Nick Fury, why are you looking for me? Nick Fury straightened his body and said, Jinbing, please stop your actions against Yebai, he is not something you should provoke. That's right, the target of Nick Fury's call is the underground emperor of the Big Apple, Jinbing. After listening to Nick Fury's words, Kim didn't answer immediately, but fell into silence for a while. Then the voice came out, "Are you teaching me to do things?" Obviously, it is not an easy thing to make the underground emperor Jin and easily subdue. You can try. If you are not obedient, the next day the Big Apple will be replaced by another obedient underground emperor. Don't force me to do this. Jinbing is very rude, but Nick Fury is even more reckless, and he has no plans to give Jinbing any face. This is also normal. SHIELD, as the highest level special department on Earth, is a violent institution that overrides the state apparatus. Such a department's behavior is one word: domineering. If you don't cooperate, then you will die. SHIELD has such a capability. Although Jinbing is the underground emperor of the Big Apple, Potion is also a gang leader. Before the shield situation, it was just a bigger ant that could be pinched to death at will. Jinbing obviously also knew this fact, so after being silent, he still relented. "Well, I'll listen to you, that's all." Immediately, Kim hung up the phone, and Nick Fury slowly got up and went to the window to watch the clouds rise and fall outside. Now that the era of superheroes has not begun, SHIELD is the most powerful violent institution on the earth, and it rules all disobedience. As the controller of this violent institution, Nick Fury has more power than anyone in the country of Eagle Sauce. The Big Apple, downtown Manhattan, inside a skyscraper. The luxurious decoration shows the owner's financial resources, and the embellished oil paintings show the owner's artistic taste. If you don't know it, you might think that this is the bedroom of a conglomerate, but in fact the owner of this house is the famous Jinbing of the Big Apple. The bald fat man with muscles all over hung up the phone, casually put down the small mobile phone, and turned his body from the boss chair. This is Jinbing, the emperor who ruled the underground order of the Big Apple for 10 years. In front of Jinbing stood two big men in suits, and a man kneeling on the ground crying silently. "Lance, you're my best friend, and you've been working under me from a very early age. I have always trusted your abilities and you have never let me down. But today, you have to explain to me why you would miss an ordinary person." Jinbing said indifferently. No one could hear the anger contained in his tone. As for the unlucky guy named Lance who was kneeling on the ground, he was the mastermind of the Yebai incident. It's true that Jinbing wanted to do something to Yebai, but this trivial matter did not require Jinbing to worry about himself. Naturally, it was left to his subordinates to do. As a result, it was such a simple thing that couldn't be simpler, and it actually overturned. It doesn't matter if the car rolls over. Just now, Nick Fury, the biggest gang leader on the planet, called him and warned him not to attack Yebai. Kim didn't have the self-knowledge that he wouldn't go against Nick Fury's words, but it was impossible not to be angry. So he could only vent the anger in his heart to the person kneeling in front of him. "Boss, listen to my explanation, I really don't blame me for this. Everything went according to plan, but Daredevil suddenly broke in. Otherwise, we have already succeeded. The wealth on Yebai's body should be ours at this time. It's all Daredevil's fault. He made our plan fail." The man named Lance cried and defended, trying to put the blame on Daredevil so that he could be excused. "Yes, you're right, it's all that damn Daredevil," Jinbing said slowly, and lightly lit the best cigar for himself. Then he got up from the chair, walked slowly to Lance, and took a deep breath. "Then explain to me why you can't handle a woman." Jinbing said, "Of course, Hela. If something went wrong with Yebai, it could also be said to be the reason for Daredevil. That woman who was helpless against Hela, actually overturned the car. There's no excuse for this, it's sheer incompetence." Hearing Jinbing's question, the man named Lance was speechless. "I can only keep shaking my body under fear, and I can't think of how to justify myself." "That's it, take him down." Jinbing glanced at Lance indifferently, and casually ordered the other two men in suits. The subtext is, "Take this Lance down and do it." "No, don't kill me. Give me one more chance, boss, I beg you, give me one more chance." Lance kept struggling and begging for mercy, hoping to let Jin connect to the grid and give himself another chance. "Put him in a factory blender and feed it straight to my dogs." Jinbing lost his patience completely, his eyes flashed with terrifying fierce light, and he said cruelly. He wasn't joking, he really wanted to do it. "Over the years, I don't know how many unlucky eggs have been gold and sent to the mixer to be shredded." After only himself was left in the room, Jin Bing regained his calm appearance and sat in his favorite seat. Yabai, who the hell are you? Jin Bing murmured. He really couldn't guess what special identity Yabai had. Even a big man like Nick Fury was disturbed. Obviously Yabai couldn't be an ordinary person. Chapter 8 In the seaside manor, Yabai returned to the living room after sending Collison away. Hela also woke up at this time and was slowly walking down the stairs. She was wearing a long black dress today, with her hand slightly holding the skirt, and walking step by step. She was like the most classical lady, extremely elegant, and like a quiet black lotus blooming quietly in the dark night. It is pleasing to the eye. Did you have a guest at home just now? Hela asked, obviously knowing that someone had been here just now. Not a guest, a troublesome fellow, I have already dismissed it. Yabai didn't hide it either, but he didn't explain Collison's specific identity either. Hela nodded, did not ask any further, came to the table and sat down, and began to enjoy breakfast. Today's breakfast was very simple, just plain boiled noodles. In addition, Yabai also put some expensive medicinal materials into the noodles, intending to use this to supplement Hela's nutrition. Yabai once won the reward of Little Master's cooking experience, and when it comes to cooking skills alone, I am afraid that the entire earth will not be able to find a comparable person. Therefore, even simple noodles, made by Yabai, have a mouth-watering aroma. Hela used chopsticks to gently bar a few noodles into the entrance, squinting her eyes with satisfaction and nodded. Yabai's cooking skills are also an important reason why Hela likes him. Hela, who was not originally a foodie, will now be made a foodie by Yabai. Did you get in trouble out there? While stroking the noodles, Hela asked Yabai. No, I don't break the law, so what kind of trouble can I cause? Yabai denied it on the spot and didn't want Hela to know what was going on outside. Just a mere gangster, he can handle it himself. Well, then you should be more careful. Hela didn't look into it, knowing that Yabai didn't want to worry about it, so he didn't plan to ask more. But she took out a black ring and placed it in front of Yabai. You take it and take it with you, so I can feel more at ease. Hela didn't explain too much, and didn't tell Yabai that this ring was made by her with divine power. It could withstand a blow from a Heavenly Father-level powerhouse, and it was specially prepared for Yabai's self-defense. This is the first time you have given me something, and I will keep it well. Yabai didn't ask any further, just picked up the ring and put it on his ring finger. From Yabai's point of view, most of this ring is similar to a peace talisman. Hela specifically prayed to come over to bless him with safety, and it was a psychological effect. In fact, it was made by Hela with a lot of divine power, and it is considered an artifact in Asgard. Just as Yabai would worry about Hela's safety, Hela would also worry about Yabai's safety. After all, in Hela's eyes, Yabai was just an ordinary mortal. Of course, it is the mortal who pleases Hela. Knowing the fragility of mortals, Hela specially made this artifact ring, just because she didn't want to see Yabai's accident. Perhaps, we should consider how to transform Yabai into a god. Hela thought to herself. Yabai put on the ring she prepared, and there is basically no danger in the small place of the atrium. But there is a limit to the lifespan of mortals, and Hela had to think about how to extend Yabai's lifespan. Hela is very greedy. She not only wants Yabai to accompany her for 100 years, she wants Yabai to accompany her forever. I'm done eating, let's go to rest first. The idea of transforming Yabai into a god cannot be realized for the time being, so Hela didn't say it clearly, but planned to go upstairs to rest as usual. Okay, I have a signing party today. I have to go out later. I may be back later. You call Aunt Lu directly at noon and ask her to get lunch. Yabai nodded and said his own arrangements. Aunt Lu was the nanny whom Yabai had hired and could cook good Sichuan cuisine, although Aunt Lu had few opportunities to cook. I see, you are safe outside. Hela's tone was still cold, which was her character. Moments like last night's frenzy, after all, are rare. Yabai was also used to it, and after finishing the dishes on the table, he drove away. What he didn't know was that on the second floor of the manor, by the window of the master bedroom, Hela watched him go away. The mortal who is going to be detrimental to Yabai is called Jin Bing, isn't he? Hela said softly, but her eyes did not have the tenderness in front of Yabai, but a cold killing intent. Although Yabai didn't tell Hela the matter, Hela naturally had her own way to find out. After learning that Yabai was targeted by a mortal named Jin Bing, Hela planned to do something. Yabai is her person, and bullying can only be done by her. Even a mere mortal is worthy? After confirming that Yabai left the manor and would not return for a short time, Hela also disappeared into the room. In the building of Jinbin. Jinbing was perplexed and couldn't figure out what special identity Yabai had. This kind of feeling is very aggrieved. He is the underground emperor. When has he been so confused? Not even knowing who the opponent is, this is too bad for Jin Yang, who likes to control everything. And for some reason, Jinbing felt a strong sense of crisis in his heart. As if something terrible was about to come. This made Jinbing very uncomfortable. After mobilizing a large number of killers to protect himself, Jinbing breathed a sigh of relief and felt some sense of security. Then, a woman in a long black dress broke in. Jinbing watched the surveillance video. His subordinates were easily killed by the woman, and he had no ability to resist. Who is this woman, and why did she suddenly break in to kill me? No matter how much Jin Yu wanted to break his head, he couldn't think of when he had provoked such a terrible woman. The killers under him are strictly trained, and their elite level is comparable to the army. But under this terrifying woman, she is vulnerable and vulnerable. There is no doubt that the woman who suddenly broke into the Jinbing building is Hela. Through the souls of those killers, Hela learned of the existence of Jinbing, and then came to the door without hesitation. This is Hela's style. Hela, who is arrogant and easy to overthrow in front of Yabai, is just what she looks like in front of Yabai. The real Hela is the goddess of death, a ruthless man who spreads death and killing to the universe. With a bang, Hela kicked Jinbing's door open. As for Jinbing's subordinates, all of them had passed away. Because Hela came so fast, Jinbing didn't even have a chance to escape, and was blocked by Hela. Looks like you are Jinbian. After Hela entered the room, she saw a fat bald man and knew that this was the enemy she was looking for. So a sword of the night sky appeared in his hand, and he was about to take Jinbing's life. Chapter 9 Ma'am, can I ask why? Jin also felt the threat of death, but did not sit still, but actively found a way to live for himself. If you want to live, you must first understand why Hela is an enemy of himself. Only by understanding the reason can it be possible to resolve the hatred. My name is Hela, Yabai's wife. Hela did not act immediately, but explained. The meaning of this is just to make Jinbing die understand. Jinbing was going to say something else, but Hela's sword of the night sky came out of his hands, piercing his strong body. Hela is not interested in wasting time here, so she will go back to rest as soon as she finishes the solution. She is still injured now, and Odin's seal is not so easy to break. The poor underground Emperor Jinbing, who didn't even have a chance to beg for mercy, died under Hela's hands, and his death was unclear. After doing all this, Hela stopped staying and disappeared into the room in the blink of an eye. After a long time, a mechanical sound sounded, a secret compartment in the room was opened, and a group of gangsters with heavy firearms came out of a secret room. The last one came out was a round bald fat man 2 meters tall. This is the real Jin and he has been hiding in the secret room. He was killed by Hela before, but it was just the stand-in he pushed to the front. Boss, people are gone, we are temporarily safe. A bald head with a fierce face came to Jinbing and said to him. This is Jinbing's #1 killer, the famous Bullseye, a ruthless killing machine. Come on, let's change places. Jinbing ordered with a cold face. Everything that happened today made Jinbing in a bad mood. Just because of a Yabai, not only was he threatened by Shield, but now he was approached by a terrifying woman. If he had known this, he would not have done anything to Yabai. And what is Yabai's identity? This effect is too great. It's Shield again, and it's a terrible woman who doesn't know the details. Will there be superheroes and aliens later? Simply outrageous. However, as an underground emperor, Jinbing has no problem with his methods and temperament. Since it has been confirmed that Yabai is someone he can't afford to offend, then it's fine not to offend him. Can't fight, can't hide? Yabai didn't know what Hela did. In Yabai's heart, Hela should be lying on the bed of the two and sleeping back to sleep. He was doing a signing at a prestigious Ivy League college at the time. As the most popular best-selling author in recent years, Yabai is still very famous. A book signing not only attracted many college students, but also many Yabai fans came from other cities to get a book signed by Yabai. This is true love. For those leaks who are willing to pay for their own novels, Yabai's attitude is still very friendly. He patiently signed autographs for the book fans who were queuing up and wrote a slogan of blessings. Hello, Mr. Yabai, I'm a loyal fan of your books. I especially like your Star Trek. Could you please sign me? At this time, standing in front of Yabai was a hairy girl with wine-red hair. Beautiful facial features, with a natural charm. That huge evil made Yabai feel a sense of oppression. Undoubtedly, this hairy girl is a stunner, and she is too big. Although Hela's is not small, it is not as spectacular as the person in front of him. However, Yabai just glanced at it and stopped paying attention. My wife is the best. Can be beautiful lady, what shall I write? With a friendly smile, Yabai calmly replied to the sister Mao in front of him. Thank you for your generosity and let me think about writing something. Well, just write, I wish you always beautiful, dear Lady Natasha. That's all. Named Natasha Romanoff said with a smile, and handed the Star Trek she was holding in front of Yabai. Yabai didn't reveal Natasha's identity either. He quickly wrote the blessing and returned the book to her. At this time, Natasha did not know that her identity had been exposed. She was also thinking about how to prepare for the next encounter, so that she could get close to Yabai. Old agents, using the lustful psychology that men have to achieve their own goals is a compulsory course for every female agent. It's a pity that Yabai's heart is still in the water now, unless his wife Hela, there is no woman who can make him tempted. Natasha's calculations were doomed to fail. Besides, how thirsty Yabai would be to go to Natasha. Black Widow, who was a secret agent, doesn't know how many guests have entered the curtain. Hela was different, treating feelings like a blank piece of paper, completely belonging to Yabai. The purity of the two is simply not comparable. After Natasha, Yabai sat at the signing party for another 2 hours and signed his name for 2 hours. Thanks to the fact that Yabai's physique has far surpassed that of ordinary people, otherwise he would have to write. Soon, the signing ceremony ended successfully, and the time came to noon. It stands to reason that Yabai should go home at this time and prepare lunch for his wife Hela. But Yabai still had things to deal with, and he didn't plan to go back for the time being. Golden end. Yabai thought to himself. Yabai naturally wouldn't let go of Jinbian who had provoked him. A tooth for a tooth, blood for blood, this is Yabai's code of conduct. Poor Kim didn't realize at this point that his troubles were far from over. At this time, Jinbian was hiding in an underground warehouse with his henchmen. This storehouse was of gold and secretly built, and used to store his private property. These included billions of dollars in cash, as well as 10 tons of gold and numerous jewels. With such a huge amount of wealth, it is conceivable how strong the defense force of this place will be. The thickness of the steel plates installed on the surrounding walls is nearly 2 meters, and the missiles cannot penetrate them. In addition, there are hundreds of elite gang members guarding it, equipped with heavy firepower to ensure that nothing goes wrong. Coming here, Jin did feel some sense of security. Bullseye, have you contacted the person you contacted? Kim asked about his number 1 killer. Bullseye is a killer, and a killer with superpowers, and naturally knows many mutants who also have superpowers. After being killed by Hela, Jin began to prepare to gather those mutants and form a guard to protect himself. Don't worry boss, they'll be here soon. Bullseye said calmly. Unlike Jin Bing who was frightened, Bullseye was not afraid. Although Hela is powerful, Bullseye feels that he is not without the strength to fight. What age are you still using the primitive attack method of throwing? Don't you know that only firearms are the absolute kings in this era? Well, Bullseye's sense of superiority to Hela is that Hela's attack method is inferior to firearms. Chapter 10 You ask them to come over quickly, I always feel like it's not over yet. After taking a sip of the cigar, Jin said uneasy. After seeing Jin Bing's appearance, many people will think that Jin Bing is a courageous person. This is actually a complete illusion, deceived by Jin Bing's body shape. He's brave, but he's by no means foolhardy. Otherwise, it is impossible to rule the underground world for 10 years. If he really didn't have a brain, he would have been bombed to the sky long ago. Boss, you are too cautious. How about you give me 100 million and I'll help you get rid of that woman? Bullseye is different from Jin Bing's other subordinates, and he doesn't have much reverence for Jin. To put it bluntly, Bullseye and Kim can only be regarded as a long-term cooperative relationship, not a real subordinate. I don't mind if you want to kill me, but don't implicate me. That woman, you can't deal with it. Jin Bing squinted at Bullseye and cursed inwardly. How did such a person survive until now? Just as Bullseye looks down on Jin Bing's timidity, Jin Bing also looks down on Bullseye's brainless. As for which of the two is stronger, you can see who is the boss. Boom! Just when Jinbing and Bullseye were talking, a loud noise suddenly sounded, making everyone nervous. What's the matter? What happened? Jinbian immediately stood up from his seat and asked the surrounding men. He is now a frightened bird, and any trouble will make his heart skip a beat. Not to mention such a big movement. Like, something is attacking the wall. One of Jinbing's subordinates said bitterly. Don't worry, these walls are made of 2-meter thick steel plates, and even missiles can't penetrate them. Bullseye is still calm, not at all worried that the wall will be pierced by someone. But soon, even Bullseye couldn't calm down. Because the loud noise sounded again, it came from the wall to the right of everyone. And unlike before, this time the loud noise was accompanied by the obvious protrusion of the wall. This shows that this wall, which is loaded with 2-meter thick steel plates, is being broken down in a brutal way. Fax quid, what the hell is this? Jinbing completely broke the defense and cursed, so as to dispel the inner tension as much as possible. Boss, you're right, we've really messed with people we can't mess with. Bullseye also had a bitter face at this time, and lost the confidence he had before. No matter how arrogant Bullseye is, he doesn't think he can penetrate a 2-meter thick steel plate. This is simply not something that a human can do. Jinbing gave Bullseye a stern look, and you have to say it. Boom! The third sound of impact came again, this time the protrusion of the wall was more obvious. The entire wall swelled up a big bag, as if some wild beast might break through the wall at any time and enter. Prepare, no matter what comes in later, fire on me. Although Jinbing was flustered, he did not completely lose his sense of proportion, and commanded his subordinates. As for Jinbing himself, he has quietly come behind everyone, and he may escape at any time if the situation is not right. Boom! The fourth crash came, accompanied by a steel wall that was completely torn apart. It's just that the opening is too small to allow one person to pass through. But even so, it's scary enough. Boom! The last crash sounded again, this time the entire wall was punched with a big hole. Then, a handsome man in casual clothes stepped in. Undoubtedly, this person is Yabai. General Zed's template gave Yabai the physique of a Kryptonian, so he could become stronger when exposed to the sun, and he could also gain super hearing. It was also by virtue of his super hearing that Yabai found Jinbing's underground warehouse. Then, Yabai came to the door and pierced the 2-meter thick steel plate with his bare hands. Fire! The moment Yabai came in, Jinping was shocked. A human appeared in front of him, but what he was doing was not human at all. Can a normal human pierce through a 2-meter thick steel plate? So Jin did not hesitate to let his subordinates open fire, intending to use the power of technology to solve the monster in front of him. In the face of the concentrated fire of many heavy firepower, Yabai did not dodge or evade, and did not even close his eyes. Using firearms to deal with Kryptonians can only be said to be very imaginative. Even the most vulnerable eyes cannot be penetrated by human firearms, let alone other parts. Yabai let the firepower fall on him, and it felt like a rain. Then in front of everyone, Yabai faced the metal storm and began to harvest the lives present. The human body is pitifully fragile in front of the Kryptonians, no different from paper. Seeing Yabai's killing spree, Jinbing panicked completely. He didn't know how to deal with such a monster. Just run. Jinbing wisely chose to retreat strategically, but unfortunately Yabai did not give him this opportunity. After killing everyone present at high speed, Yabai came to Jinbing and blocked his way. As for the poor Bullseye, Yabai had already twisted his neck. Wait a minute, can we sit down and talk? It was impossible to resist, and Jin never thought about resisting. Who can resist such a humanoid monster? Let's have a good talk and see if we can fight for a dignified death. Okay, what do you want to talk about? Yabai didn't care either, and in the face of the absolute power gap, he wasn't afraid of Jinbing's tricks. You're Mr. Yabai, right? I've seen your photos. I apologize like you about what happened before, it wasn't my intention, it was a stupid decision made by one of my men. He's dead and now in the dog's belly and he's going to pay for the mistakes he made. So, can you let me go? I swear I haven't really thought about what to do with you. In the face of the threat of death, Jin no longer had the same humor as he used to be. It's like a child who has done something wrong, trying to clear his fault. Really? And then what? Yabai still sneered, but was unmoved in his heart. If Kim doesn't give a satisfactory answer, he's dead today. Yabai still understands the principle of cutting grass without eradicating its roots, but the spring breeze blows and grows again. Jin Bing took a deep breath, forced himself to calm down, and then said, "Well, even if you kill me, what do you get? You can only get a chaotic Big Apple City, and the new underground emperor will provoke you. After all, your value is too amazing. You let me go, and you will be my master in the future. I promise that similar things will not happen again. No one will bother you and your wife. Do you think this is okay?" Jin Bing knew very well that if he wanted to live at this time, Ye Bai would not forgive him, and Ye Bai could not forgive him. Instead, he wanted to show his worth. As long as Ye Bai felt that he was still useful, his chances of surviving would be much greater. Facts have proved that Jin Bing's choice is not wrong. Chapter 11 Ye Bai thought about the scene after Jin Bing's death, and found that what Jin Bing said really made sense. As the current underground emperor, Jin Bing's death is sure to bring chaos to the underground world of the Big Apple. When those madmen in the underground world are not bound by the rules, it is certain that there will be trouble. Although Ye Bai was not afraid of these madmen in the underground world, he was a trouble after all. Therefore, Ye Bai really doesn't plan to kill Jin Bing now. "You are very smart and have successfully persuaded me. I hope you will remember today's words and stop bothering me again. Otherwise, next time, I will unscrew your head, and I will do what I say. Don't doubt that I can find you. As long as you are on Earth, you can't run away." A very straightforward threat, which can be regarded as a warning to Jin Bing. As for Kim, believe it or not, that's his business. If he doesn't believe it, Ye Bai will fulfill what he said and unscrew his head. How could Jin Bing not believe it? "You have pierced through the 2-meter thick steel plate. Can I believe it?" Jin can't feel that his body is stronger than steel plate. After hearing that Ye Bai was willing to give him another chance, Jin Bing was as weak as the rest of his life. At the same time, he made up his mind that even if he committed suicide, he would never provoke Ye Bai and the couple again. Not only that, Jin Bing also planned to send a large number of people lurking next to Ye Bai's manor, lest anyone with poor eyes would offend this killing god. It can be said that Ye Bai's leaving gold not only achieved his goal, but also saved many possible troubles. With Jin Bing's help, at least some guys who couldn't get on the stage would not be able to cause trouble to Ye Bai. Those gangsters who planned to kidnap Ye Bai, before they came to Ye Bai, would be thrown into the blender by Jin and fed to the dogs. After resolving the matter of Jin Bing, Ye Bai left the underground warehouse. Before leaving, Ye Bai also took away a set of Jin Bing's clothes. In the previous metal storm, Ye Bai himself was not hurt, but his clothes were beaten to a pulp. This is the price of coercion. After seeing the killing god completely leave, Jin Bing was relieved and sat on the ground gasping for breath. It's too scary to face a monster like Ye Bai. Jin Bing is also considered a daring master, but he was still frightened and turned pale. As an ordinary person, there is a possibility of being frightened to death. Fortunately, in the end, he still lived a small life. After a long time, Jin Bing calmed down, and the majesty of the underground emperor appeared on him again. He's going to gather his men and announce a big order. In the future in the Big Apple City, whoever dares to be the enemy of Ye Bai will be the enemy of him. "Why did you come back so late today?" At sunset, Ye Bai returned to his manor. Hela had already woken up and looked at Ye Bai and complained. Like a wife complaining about her husband coming home too late. "After the signing ceremony was over, I had another meal with the publisher, which was a waste of time." Ye Bai told a white lie and didn't want Hela to worry too much. As a man, you shouldn't bring the ups and downs of the outside world back to your home, and you shouldn't let your wife worry about him. Hela didn't think too much, just asked a question as usual. Now that Ye Bai has the artifact ring she made, and the culprit, Jin, has already been executed, she is not too worried about Ye Bai's life safety. "A question for you, what would you do if one day you found out that I am not the me you are familiar with?" Hela suddenly asked a mindless question, making Ye Bai a little confused. But looking at Hela's expectant and anxious eyes, Ye Bai's heart softened. "Fool, I like you just like you, no matter what you are, I like you." Ye Bai walked to Hela, touched her hair and said with a smile. This intimacy made Hela's face blushed again, and she was still not used to such an intimacy. "But I don't object, I just feel embarrassed. If one day you find out that I'm a bad guy, will you still like me?" Hela ignored Ye Bai's messing hands on her head, and looked at Ye Bai's eyes and asked another question. Ye Bai didn't answer immediately, but vaguely felt that today's Hela seemed a little different. I can't say for sure, I just feel like something is on my mind. Yabai removed the hand that was constantly messing up on Hela's head, and hugged Hela's waist. You are my wife, even the bad guy is my wife. No matter what you become, I like you. Yabai whispered in Hela's ear, and the hot air he exhaled blew on Hela's earlobe, making the earlobe bright red visible to the naked eye. Hate. Hela struggled symbolically, but soon closed her eyes and let Yabai deal with it. Now that it's getting late, it's better to take Hela to have a rest first. Helicarrier, SHIELD. Natasha returned to her cold and glamorous appearance, and put away the face of her fangirl in front of Yabai. And soon entered Nick Fury's office and began to report. The first contact with the target, there is not much progress, I am not his type. The target Natasha said was naturally Yabai. When Natasha went to contact Yabai, she was naturally instructed by Nick Fury, otherwise she would not know who Yabai was. It's normal. According to the investigation, Yabai and his wife have a very good relationship and are a good man. Nick Fury said confidently that he was not surprised by the result of Natasha's first contact. Before contacting Yabai, Nick Fury naturally had to investigate first. As Yabai's wife, Hela naturally wouldn't let it go. What puzzled Nick Fury was that he couldn't find Hela's information. All I know is that about a year ago, Hela suddenly appeared beside Yabai, like falling from the sky. This made Nick Fury have to think a lot about what Hela was. Did he really meet Yabai by chance, or was it someone from another organization who placed him next to Yabai? The former is okay, the latter Nick Fury must pay attention. So, why isn't Carlson doing this? You have to find me, do you want me to destroy the relationship between the target and his wife? I don't remember SHIELD being in charge of divorce. Natasha complained that she still couldn't understand what kind of mentality Nick Fury had in letting her contact Yabai. Hearing Natasha's complaints, Nick Fury almost didn't cough. It's so embarrassing. But what Natasha said was right, he did think about asking Natasha to seduce Yabai, and it was best to let Yabai be inseparable from Natasha. Compared with Hela, the woman who doesn't know the details, Yabai's wife should obviously be Natasha who knows the bottom line. It is also more in line with the interests of SHIELD. Of course, Nick Fury can't arrange such a thing, and everything depends on Natasha's own thoughts. As for Hela, if possible, Nick Fury would also like to get in touch and find out the details. You've reached the end of Part 1. Want to know what happens next? Part 2 and the rest of the story are available on Patreon. Go to Patreon and search for my page to continue listening. Join Patreon and continue the story from Part 2. Thank you for listening and supporting the channel.